Hi guys, you are listening to the 20s podcast with me, Aisha Williams, and today we have a special guest. It's my mate, Taylor Ward. We're going to get all the juicy info about what it's like being an influencer and having loads of followers and everything that comes with it. So I'm super excited to share this with you all, guys. Here is Ep 11. Taylor, what is one thing you want to do and one thing you want to see in your 20s?
One thing I want to do in my 20s. So I've always been really passionate about fashion, which is actually how I got into influencing in the first place. And I've been saying for ages now that I really want to start my own brand. Obviously, I work with other brands all the time, basically promoting their clothes and whatever. So I'd love to do it for myself. So I definitely think that's probably the one thing that I really want to get done in my 20s is start my own brand, focus on my career, definitely.
And see.
One thing I want to see. To be honest, like I'm still young. There's so many things I haven't seen yet. I think maybe, obviously, I would love to travel more. I went traveling when I was 18 and there were so many places I didn't go that I'd love to go back to. So yeah, generic, very generic, so boring, but I'd love to travel more. What else would I like to see? Yeah, like you have to ask me again at the end of the interview because I need to have a think about that one.
The world is a big thing. Taylor, I'm so excited to have you on. Like,
I know.
Finally.
Thanks for having me, Aish.
No, thank you for coming on. I'm like buzzing that you're so up for doing it as well.
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes I need to be more proactive. I actually really enjoy doing things like this. And it's been a while since I've done anything like this, so it's different.
Because you want to start a YouTube, don't you?
I do. I've probably been saying for over 2 years now that I'm going to start one. I was going to start one, and
you will. This is like a good starting place.
I think for me, like the one thing I find so weird is when I hear my voice back. I think that's my biggest fear about starting YouTube, because I hear my voice back and I'm like, oh my God, is that actually me?
No, you get over it. You stop hearing what it sounds like. It just becomes one.
But yeah, thanks for having me. You're definitely going to spur me on to start it.
Well, I want to speak about all things influencer. Because do you ever like just sit back and think like, fuck, I've got 500,000 followers.
Oh my God.
That watch everything I do, like my stories and everything.
Someone said to me like something about that the other day, and they were like, imagine if you put all your followers into one room, like you don't actually realize how many people that is. It's crazy. Like I kind of forget, to be honest. I kind of just see it as like a number on Instagram. You actually forget that each number is like a person that actually follows you.
Those are different crazy people, yeah, like different households. It's so weird.
Shit, it just hit me.
But so we'll get all the juicy info about what it's like being an influencer, having loads of followers. But if we go back to the beginning, so how do we know each other? Like we go way back. Like year 7.
Yeah, actually, I think you were actually one of the first people I made friends with in year 7.
Genuinely, like we were so quick. Do you want to see what I found the other day as well? this will creep you out. Look at that.
Oh my God. Sorry, that is the worst picture I think I've ever seen in my life.
And look at this one as well. I mean,
thank God for the glow up. Oh my God. Why did no one tell me that fringe looked fucking awful?
The world doesn't need to see this, but like,
we go way back. We've definitely had a glow up. Thank the Lord.
But yeah, so tell us your route from like school to growing your followers as an influencer, because didn't you want to do fashion like straight out of school?
So I don't know, actually. Everyone always asks this question. I get asked all the time on Instagram, like, how do you become an influencer? That's the question that everyone wants to know. And genuinely, I don't even know how it happened for me. I think I'm not, like, a lot of people have worked really hard to get their following, and they've obviously, like, they post amazing pictures and amazing content. I'd say mine is probably, well, not as much anymore. It's more fashion based now, but to start with, it was very much just like posting every day-to-day life. So yeah, starting from the beginning, we obviously went to Cheadle together. We went to school together. I then left there. I went to boarding school. While I was at boarding school was when my mum obviously started the show. So she started doing Real Housewives of Cheshire.
Yes, we will get into that.
Yeah, that's to come. But yeah, I was so skeptical about that at the time, because I was just like, God, we don't know what it's going to be like. And I think everyone thinks as well, like as soon as Housewives started, that was it. Like my following grew overnight, and then I just became an influencer. But it wasn't like that at all. if anything, I'd say, so mum started Housewives when I was obviously still at boarding school. So I was kind of dipping in it like here and there, but not really anything major. So it probably took me, I'd say, over a year to build up like my first 10,000 followers. So I got to 10,000 followers and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. I've got 10,000 followers. This is amazing.
Look at me.
And like, I was just kind of just like posting, like everyone does, like if you go on a night out or you go for dinner with your friends, just like posting pictures. There was absolutely no, like everything on my feed was just basically what I was doing day to day life. I wasn't trying to get any like extra content or anything. And then after that I went traveling, and I remember, it must have been a year or two after I went traveling, and I remember going traveling with 60,000 followers. And then I decided in my head that, right, I've got 60,000 followers. I'm going to be a travel influencer. I'm going to be a travel influencer. I'm going to post all these really cool pictures of the views and whatever. So I started posting more when I went traveling, and I probably gained another 6,000 followers traveling. And then Which is
actually mental.
Yeah.
You only went for like
probably 5 months. Yeah. But even then, like 66,000 followers, like looking back, I felt like at the time I was like, oh my God, this is so many people.
It is.
But like it's grown so much since then. But yeah, so basically when I got back from traveling, I then started university. I went to Istituto Marangoni in London studying fashion.
Say that again.
Istituto Marangoni. Sorry, everyone. I speak
Italian?
very fast. Yeah, it's a fashion university in Shoreditch in London. So I ended up going there, which I loved. It was so good, but one thing led to another, and my the influencer side of everything kind of started to pick up, and I started to get my first paid jobs on Instagram. And it got to the point where, because I was living in London, obviously I'd made new friends and stuff, but I didn't really have anyone to take my pictures. And I was a bit embarrassed. Like, I still find it embarrassing now. Like, asking someone to take pictures for you is like can be quite like embarrassing.
Especially like if you've just met these people.
Exactly.
At uni.
Exactly.
Like, sorry, can you just grab my phone and take a
I
picture
know,
of me?
it's so embarrassing. I was like, I don't want to be that girl that's just joined, like really vain, like always wants people taking pictures for them. So I kept putting it off, and I was losing work because I wasn't taking the pictures I was getting paid for. I was getting in trouble. So in the end, I ended up leaving university, and I was like, you know what? I'll take a year out. I'll give influencing a go, see where it takes me. If nothing comes from it, I can go back to uni next year. If it works out, it works out. That's great. So yeah, kind of from then was when I basically started doing it full time, and I put my all into it, and I started actually like
growing.
Yeah,
but
growing.
Do you know what is mad to me is like, you're an influencer, but I wouldn't say that you are that arsed as an actual person.
Oh my God, that is so funny because everyone
like,
says this that knows me.
Like literally, I remember when you started like growing your followers, I was thinking like, Taylor probably cares less than me. And that's like something to be...
To be honest, everyone says this to me. Like, this is one thing I will say. What you see on Instagram is not real. Like, I actually am so... Like, the picture that is probably portrayed of me on Instagram is not me in real life.
Yeah, I think I agree.
Like, and I actually feel like I should probably do more things on my Instagram about me, and that's why I really wanted to do this today as well, because I feel like my Instagram is like very glamorous, and if you know me as a person,
it's
like
all a lie.
Yeah, I am like, it is the biggest chore to like go get my nails done. Like
sorry, but about 5 minutes ago, you ran upstairs to change.
So a bit of background knowledge, everyone. I should have probably arrived about 10 minutes ago. I was sat here in my gym gear. I've now got changed into a nice pretty shirt. Because
she's like, wait. You can tell I'm in gym gear right now. Let me put something colourful on. And it's actually in this bright green dress. But no, it's all come together. And so going back to like Real Housewives of Cheshire. So that was like, I think I found it was like 2015. Yeah. When I did my little online search. So...
Oh my God, is that when it was? 2015?
And that would have made us like I was sixth form.
Yeah, that must have been, yes. I must have been when I was at boarding school.
Yeah. So what was it like when the news first broke? Because I remember seeing it on Twitter, and obviously everyone we know was just like going wild, like what?
Yeah, I think obviously for me, if anything, I actually remember being really embarrassed, like when the trailer came out, because I think as well, like no one really knew what to expect. Especially because like it was a show based on where we live. So you probably know yourself, like a lot of the people on the show and the places that were being filmed, we kind of know. Yeah. So I remember at the time, as soon as the trailer came out, like everyone, all our friends and everything were like putting things on Twitter. Like there was quite a lot of hate actually, more than anything. And I was like, oh my God, my mum's on the show. This is going to be so embarrassing. Like, I really hope this kind of turns out to be a success, because if it's a flop, like it'd be a bit embarrassing. But at the same time, it was like such an amazing opportunity. I was kind of excited. So I don't know. I think I was very skeptical, but kind of
just
excited.
Like praying, praying it was. So more excited than nervous. But yeah, exactly. We'd never had a show round here like that. And as you say,
any
your
reality TV, really.
Yeah, no, and that you can literally see the places you go like every weekend on screen. So what's it like filming for it? Because I always think if they're in your house, you just wake up, come downstairs. It's like a camera crew.
You know what? Everyone thinks that. And I think now, obviously, we filmed Housewives. I look at all shows differently because it's not what you expect. No, I think a lot of people think that you wake up in the morning, the camera is literally there at the end of your bed, like ready to film you getting out of bed. But also as well, the Real Housewives is more about the housewives. So my mum and the other 6-7 women, than it is about the families. So we kind of come in and out now and then, but we're not really the focus on the storyline. Yeah. So yeah, it's not what you think it is. You don't roll out of bed in the morning, there's a camera in your face. The scenes are more planned, even though it is reality TV. You do know before you're going on camera. It's not like you're just walking the kitchen
like, whoa,
and like, oh hey,
come around the corner, whoa,
we're filming. No, it's not like that. But yeah, it's good. One thing I will say is it's very long. There's a lot of hours of filming that go into literally what you see 15 seconds on TV, which is just, if anything, frustrating, because so many funny things happen and it gets cut.
That's what I thought was, you can kind of tell that like with like Love Island and stuff, how much they cut it, but yeah, we'll get into that as well. But
I sit there and I'm like, damn, I was so funny and they didn't put it in.
Damn, I really rehearsed that joke for
I
like
know.
5 seconds. Did you watch it?
To be honest, when it first came out, I used to watch it religiously. More because like you'd film something, especially, this sounds really vain, but if I film, I always watch myself back.
No, you want to see what you look like.
Exactly. And also you don't know which bits they're going to put in, how you're going to come across. But now we're probably on like season 8, 9. I don't want to. I'm so bad. I don't even know myself. I think it's like 8 or 9. Yeah. So I won't lie. I don't really watch it anymore like I used to. But I still watch it back now and then. And also, obviously, we live around these storylines, so it's not like I don't know what's going on. It's not like I need to watch it to understand what's happening.
To keep up with the
exactly.
Plot. Well, I always thought, like, because you know the kids of other housewives, if that even makes sense. Does it ever get awkward or like if your mums fight? How do you deal with that?
Good question, actually. You know what? So obviously I'm friends with a lot of the housewives' children. For example, like Neil and Aaron, Seema's sons, Gabby, Tanya's daughter, but the main one, obviously Fran, Rachel's daughter, is one of my best friends. So the other ones, like, we kind of just like laugh it off, whatever. We don't really even, it never really gets brought up. We're friends separate to the show. With Fran, like, we just have a pact now, and we say, if our parents ever fall out, that's fine, let them do their stuff. Like, we're old enough to be adults about the situation, and we don't need to kind of get involved in that. We just laugh it off now. We don't even talk about it. It's just like, if they fall out, that's their business. Exactly.
That's a good way.
Otherwise, I think, you know what, like, at the end of the day, it is a show, and you've got to remember it's a show.
Yeah.
And if it gets to the point where it's ruining your actual life, and it's not worth it. Point? So exactly, I don't want to lose any friendships over it. So it's easier.
Mum, you do your thing.
Yeah, 100%. If you want to fall out, people's done. Be my guest. Don't get me involved.
Not drag me into it. So here's an interesting one. Who's your favourite?
Who's my favourite housewife?
Obviously, bar your mum. Who like out of the people that have been on and off it, even?
You know what? I think. I don't know. There's so many. I love them all, really. There's not.
To be fair, you've got relationships with them all before.
Yeah.
Or half of them before. Who's a favourite out of someone you didn't know before?
Someone we didn't know. Oh God, hard one. Someone we didn't know. Hang on, let me have a think. So forgotten who the housewives were. There's a picture over there on the wall. I'm just going to have a quick look. Yeah, I'd say out of the housewives that I didn't know, I love Namina, I love Stacey. They're both lovely. Yeah, I think I love Seema and Rachel. Obviously, Rachel was like a second mum to me growing up. It's not like I just got to know her off the show. So I don't know, like some of them are literally like family already. So it's hard to call, but so, I don't really hate anyone.
So
I don't
pretty
really,
much all of them you love.
Don't get involved in the drama.
Yeah. No, good answer. So to close off about Real Housewives, is watching your mum get the inevitable hate on top of the love she gets
difficult?
Do you like see that, and do you like?
Yeah, that is one thing I do say, and I think that's why actually I steer away from watching the show a lot more now, because obviously it is only a show, but there's been a lot of moments on the show where mum's got really upset or things have happened, and yes, it's a TV show, but it is also real life, and it is hard to watch. And everyone has an opinion on everything. That's one thing that is very difficult. I don't go on Twitter ever anymore. I just think Twitter is so negative. No one ever, apart from the odd funny thing that people write, most people go on Twitter just to rant about things that they're not happy about. So I just think Twitter is like the most negative place ever.
You don't have Twitter, do you?
I do have it, but I don't use it. So yeah, steer away from Twitter. That helps. And I just think as well, like one thing I will say is, someone can hate you one episode and then by the time the next week's come out, the next episode, they've completely forgotten what happened the week before. So most of the time
everything's just fast
paced. It lasts for a week and then it's over. So it's not too bad.
Millions of people watching Real Housewives of Cheshire meant that it drew a lot of attention to both you and Darby, your sister. So you said you saw a bit of an increase in your followers then. But one of my followers actually asked the question, which you can answer. What separates someone with a lot of followers from an influencer? Which I think is a good question.
That is a good question.
Basically, what do you do for people that don't know?
To be honest, I think that's where I am an influencer, but I'm also kind of a mix between the both, because obviously nowadays you have a lot of influencers who have come off Love Island, who have come off to.she, and I think as well as influencers, they're also kind of TV personalities, whereas I wouldn't really count myself as a TV personality, even though I have a lot of housewife followers, because I am not like a main character obviously on the show. But yeah, I think an influencer is more someone that creates content. So, for example, like one thing I'm massively focused on my Instagram is fashion, beauty. But I think it can be a mix of things, really. You have loads of different types of influencers. You've got food influencers, you've got sports influencers. Like, it just depends, really. It depends kind of what kind of route you want to go down.
It is mainly content driven, though, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
It's putting in the work to show people
exactly,
what you're doing.
100%. And one thing I will say as well, don't get me wrong, it's not the hardest job on earth. I'm not saying I literally get up at 7 a.m. and work till midnight every night. Exactly. But it's a lot harder than people think. Like, it's not as simple as just taking a picture and then uploading it in 5 minutes. So yeah, I think especially when you work with brands and stuff, you've got to have like a certain quality of content.
Because they're paying you for it.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, so how does it go? How does the whole brand thing go? So that's how you make your money as an influencer.
To be honest, there's a lot of different ways you can make your money through influencing. There's obviously the given, which is brands pay you to promote their products.
Yeah.
In my case, a lot of the time it's more clothing or beauty products. So that's one way, but there's a lot of websites now as well where you can kind of, so you'll probably see people put links on their Instagram to different clothing or like beauty products or whatever, and you basically get a fee for the amount of people. So for example, you'll make a percentage of the sales that you get from that swipe up
by referring someone to say like Pretty Little Thing or somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
then they
or
pay
like
you.
Putting a swipe up link for a lipstick. If 10 people buy that, you can get basically like a percentage back.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
actually.
it's quite good.
Actually, it's just brands.
It's a more subtle way of influencing.
Swipe up.
Swipe up to shop.
So how does it go if, say I'm a brand, I want to work with you,
Yeah.
How does that process go from them wanting to work with you to a post being put on your page?
So I actually have someone that looks after my emails now, but originally I have an email in my bio, which if brands want to work with me, they just send me an email, basically just describing what they want, and then I'll just go back with my price, and then there's kind of a bit of to and fro, like, well, what about this? But I have a manager now, which is actually really good. It really helps me because I am the most unorganized person you will ever meet in your life.
Oh, I know. I was literally about to say this. Like, are you like your posts? Are you planned?
Well,
because I highly doubt that you are.
I actually, after this, have to do 2 posts because they're overdue.
Oh, really?
Anyway, no, I think I'm better now. I've got a manager because he does all my emails and stuff, and he'll just give me a date and say, you have to post on this day, which definitely helps. When I was left to my own devices, I'd be like, oh, I'll do it next week. Oh, well, what about the week after? And it's literally taken us 2 months to plan this podcast.
No, I know. So then you have a time limit to post for them. Is it normally like a week?
It depends really. It completely varies on like the product, and obviously a lot of brands will have like sales on, or for example, if it's like Valentine's Day, they'll want to post for Valentine's Day. It could be the next day, or sometimes it's just any day within the month. So it just completely varies really.
And do you have any boundaries for like what you would post? Because obviously there's things like diet pills and shit that actually like some people haven't looked into, and then they end up being like really harmful.
No, definitely. I think one thing that I majorly focus on now is fashion.
Yeah.
And I'm quite skeptical about fashion and beauty. Other than that, I'm quite skeptical about what I promote. And I also always make sure if someone wants me to promote a product, for example, I got given it was like a pore vacuum to try out a few weeks ago.
Which you always see on Explore.
But I genuinely really liked that product, which is why I did the promotion for it. If I'd have got the product and didn't like it, I wouldn't promote it.
Yeah.
So I think there's just a fine line between obviously getting the money for everything you can and kind of promoting anything, or actually believing in the products you post. And I think a lot of the time, if you promote everything, people kind of see through it, and no one buys the products as much because they know that you're just promoting kind of anything that you get paid for.
Rubbish. Yeah.
So I think you've got to kind of keep a fine line between what you post. You've got to be quite picky.
Yeah. So who's your favourite brand that you've worked with?
My favourite brand? Oh God, there's
loads. Or someone that you've been like really like buzzing to work with when they've contacted you.
Hang on, let me have a think. My favourite brand? I did, to be honest, it depends really. Like I work with NARS a bit, which is really nice. Yeah. Because I love working with any brand that I really love the products, and I would have bought myself anyway. It's always like a massive honour for me. So NARS, obviously, I did loads of work last year for Bondi Sands. Yeah. And they took me on an amazing trip to Dubai, which was amazing. So that's always an honour. Love the trips.
I was going to say, what's your favourite trip as well?
Oh God, there's been so many, and I think that is one of the biggest like perks of the job. Is obviously the influencer trips are just a dream, and I think that's why all girls want to be an influencer, because they see these trips and they're like, oh my God, that looks amazing.
Let me hop on a plane.
No, it is amazing. We did the trip to Dubai that me and my sister did for Bondi Sands was really fun. I went skiing this Christmas. The one just been, which was probably one of the funnest trips I've ever been on. It was hilarious. With my friend's brand, Forest Collard, which he's just set up, which is like an influencers agency. That was an amazing trip. I think they're all amazing, really. They're all different. I've done Ibiza a few times. It's just great experiences, really. So, and you get paid to be there, and it's seen as work. So it's just a bonus.
It's a win-win, really. So meeting other influencers there, is that where you meet a lot of other influencers on the trips?
Most of my influencer friends I've either met through events or trips. So there's a lot of like influencer meals, or not necessarily always trips. It might sometimes just be like one night away. Oh, that's another brand. I worked with JD a lot last year as well, who I absolutely love. Like, I literally used to spend so much money on that website. So it is such like, again, an honor to work with them. They took me to like the boxing the fight in London, which was unreal. That was just a really fun weekend, and I met loads of people there. So you're always kind of at events and stuff, you're always kind of meeting new people. And I think you've got to be very open-minded to meeting people, especially if you go on your own, because sometimes you'll go somewhere and you won't know a single person.
Oh my
God. So you've kind of got to just get in there and just kind of
be social all the time.
Definitely.
I mean, when you say influencer meals, are these like you guys set them up yourselves, or it's when brands set them up?
No, so brands will organise them. For example, they'll do, if they've got like a new launch, or like, for example, if it's going into Christmas time, they'll do like an influencer meal and they'll invite maybe 20 influencers. And mainly the whole thing is about getting content in either the outfits or basically just creating like a buzz around a new product or a new launch. So there's loads of different things really.
So would you say that it's bitchy at all?
Bitchy. You know what? This is everyone.
Well, that's where your mind goes, because when you've got loads of girls.
Yeah, no, true.
In one place.
To be honest, I don't think I haven't really seen a bitchy side to it. I think everyone really enjoys their job, and I think there's probably a degree of competitiveness, but I wouldn't say bitchy. I think a lot of the time as well, you'll meet a lot of girls at events. Doesn't necessarily mean they're always your best friends, but everyone's nice to each other. And yeah, I don't know, because everyone always asks this question, so I'm like, maybe I'm quite oblivious to it.
No, maybe it's not, but I think that is just where your mind goes when you see like loads of girls that are all up for the same opportunities, are all fit.
It's competitive, definitely, but I think as well nowadays there's so many influencers, because every girl wants to be an influencer. So it's definitely a lot harder, but I wouldn't say bitchy. I'd say competitive.
Yeah, in a good
Although
way.
I'm not competitive at all. I think that's my problem.
You're like, oh yeah, you take that. It's okay.
I'm like, oh, you have it. It's fine. Damn,
I missed it.
Yeah.
Who is your like favorite person you've met then?
My
or
favorite.
who is like someone you've met through the industry that either you're closest to or surprised you?
So I hope she watches this, because she's gonna laugh. But Emily Blackwell, who's on Made in Chelsea, who's one of my closest friends now. We actually met at one of my first ever influencer events in London. Yeah. And we laugh so much to this day, because we are literally like chalk and cheese. We're like the most opposite personalities.
In what way?
We're just so different. Like, Emily's more reserved when she meets someone. I'll literally go speak to anyone. And she's always like, Taylor, you're too nice to people. Like, she just doesn't give a shit about anything. And I think that's why I find her so funny. So I'm like, I need to be more like you, girl.
Yeah.
But yeah, so probably Emily. And Beth Moore is another good friend of mine. Tunde, like, I've met so many amazing people. I think I've got so many close friends now that I kind of even forget I met them.
It's not like an influencer friend.
Yeah,
it's just a friend.
Exactly.
Because it's what you do.
100%.
So who takes your pictures then? Let's get back to your posts. And like, how long does this take you?
Oh my God. So I actually, you know what? When I first started influencing, me and Darby both lived at home. So we used to take each other's pictures. It was so easy. It worked really well, because we were obviously both doing the same thing. She does influencing as well. Then Darby got engaged. She moved out. And I was like, shit, what am I going to do now? So you'll laugh, but I actually pay my younger sisters to take my pictures.
Yeah, that's a fucking exclusive.
I know. Honestly, they're like, Taylor, I'm not doing it for less than £5 an hour. I'm like, bloody hell, Charlie, she's 10.
How old are they now?
And they're getting £5 an hour to take my pictures. They are 10 and 12. 10 and 12, 11 and 13. Shit, I'm not quite sure.
As if. That seems like old.
I know, they've grown up so quick. But yeah, I actually pay them to take my pictures.
I mean, fair. They take pretty good pictures as well.
I know, they're not bad actually.
I was wondering why the angle's always towards the floor. Like, they're like always like looking up at an angle. No, that is it. That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's probably why it takes me longer though. Aston, bless her, is so small she literally can't even keep the she can't keep the camera still for more than literally 5 seconds. Her hand starts shaking. And she's like, Taylor, it hurts now. My arms are aching. I'm like, oh my God. So yeah.
And like your captions,
Oh my God, don't get me started on captions. I am the worst.
You know what? I tried to look for like your cringiest one to take the piss out of you. And they're actually not. Like,
No,
the
so
only
bad.
one I found recently is like, people only throw shade at things that shine.
Yeah.
And I was like, to be fair, that's not even cringe. Like,
I think that was like a dig at someone. I can't remember who now. I try not to be that person that like makes digs through my Instagram captions.
Or,
You
like,
know when
song
someone
lyrics.
pisses you off, and I'm like, please, no.
take my caption.
Yeah, but no, literally a lot of my captions are song lyrics because I
Do you Google them?
no, then. No, I actually steal a lot of people's captions. I'll see a caption and I'm like, oh, I like that
But,
caption.
like, screenshot.
Yeah, so I'll like change a few words and I'm like, I'll steal that.
Change a few words.
Yeah.
And do you look at like your insights and stuff?
Yes, I
Do you work on them?
To be honest, that is the one thing I find so difficult about being an influencer because it's quite unpredictable at times and like the algorithm is always changing. So I will take, for example, one day I'll take a really shit picture and I'll think, oh God, I'm not going to upload that. Like it's not good enough quality, or I don't know, I'll overthink it and I'll upload it and it'll end up being like one of my most liked pictures. And then another day I'll take 2 hours trying to get the right picture. I'll be so proud of it and I'm like, wow, this like, looks like something that's like been professionally taken. And honestly, it'll get literally no likes. So there is a fine line actually, because you can get quite obsessed with it. But yeah, I'm always looking at my, like obviously my insights to see what people like see which pictures perform the best. Tweak my Instagram depending on that.
On how many likes and interactions and stuff.
Exactly. But it's so unpredictable. One thing I will say is people love it when, for example, obviously because I have a lot of Housewives fans on there, they love when we post like family content with my mum or with my sisters. That always goes down really well. But yeah, it's so unpredictable. You just don't know really. I'm still trying new things all the time. I just started doing some like makeup videos, which have gone down really well.
I watched them and I was like, yes.
Yeah, I'm going to try and do more of that actually. I think I'm just really lazy sometimes and like the video editing is so long. That's why I've not started my YouTube either. But yeah, I definitely want to get more into like doing like tutorials and stuff.
It will. It's coming.
Even though I do not claim to be a makeup artist, just putting that out
Yeah, I know. You have to claim that, or just people come for you. Like,
I know. I'm like, this is just how I do it. I am not a professional. Please don't come at me.
Well, on this podcast, we like to be nosy.
Oh no.
And by all means, tell me, just shut up. But actually, no, it's not even like an invasive question. I would say like, we just like to know how lucrative some jobs are.
Lucrative.
How much money?
Sorry, what does that mean?
Your eyes then. Like, just like how well things pay. But like, you don't have to say obviously a figure, but what region is your highest post that you've ever been paid for?
God, I think it varies massively. And if anything, I'd say used to be a lot more high paid than it is now. I think obviously there's a lot more influencers these days. So brands don't need to pay as much as they used to because
there's so many.
Exactly.
Saturated.
Like it's a shame really. Obviously not because listen, like I think everyone should be an influencer if that's what they want to do. But obviously money wise, when I obviously first started influencing, there's a lot less influencers. So you used to get paid a lot higher than you do now. But I think the main margin that brands go for is, I think it's £100 per 100,000 followers.
Okay.
That could be,
everyone do your math.
that could be wrong, but so I think it depends really. Like I always charge higher for, I probably shouldn't say this in the podcast, but anyway, here we go. I probably charge more for posts that obviously, so for example, like a product that I like, but I'm not like overly obsessed with. Where if it's like a brand that I love and I really want to work with them, I'm always happier to do it at a lower fee.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
I don't know. You can go from anything from over £1,000 a post to sometimes like £300 a post. That's just for me personally.
So do you think it's like, do you even have track of like your money, as in monthly? Is your pay like pretty unpredictable?
Oh my God, that is the one thing that I find so difficult about being an influencer is 1 month you'll be bawling and you'll be like, oh my God, like, this is amazing. Yeah, I'm retiring at 25. And then the next month you'll be like, shit, this is not as good as last month. And I think also it's very dependent on time of year. I always find I make a lot more money over summer than I do in the winter. I don't know if that's just me and the kind of content I post. Every influence is different again. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe people just don't like how I dress in autumn. Like,
just take your clothes off.
They don't like my clothes. They don't like what I wear in winter.
Okay, well, I'll take that answer. I think that's a good answer. So on to Love Island. Love Island. Because you're about to go on it, weren't you? So what happened?
So Love Island.
Mate, I was getting ready every week. Like, my mate's going in. No.
I got so many, literally the amount of DMs and stuff I got. Obviously it got leaked to the press. So everyone kind of found out that I'd auditioned for the show. I think at the time, it was not long after I'd left university and I was kind of just starting to do the influencer thing and it seemed like an amazing opportunity. I went for a few interviews and I was all ready to go, really. I had like pretty much my bags packed. But I think at the time as well, the show was kind of just like the year before I interviewed, it had just gone massive. And it was very like overwhelming at the time. And everyone was saying to me like, Taylor, this is such an amazing opportunity. Like you have to take it. You'd be so stupid to turn it down. But at the same time, I had my own stuff going on and I was a bit like, oh God, is this definitely for me? I and ahed about it for ages. And I think in the end, I don't know, I got so stressed about it and I was so like worried, like also as well with Housewives, obviously I've done TV before, but it's not, Housewives is not the same as being in a villa for 3 months straight with cameras. I can imagine that literally is you wake up in the morning and someone's filming you.
Yeah, legit.
Whereas Housewives is not like that at all. So I think in my head, I just wasn't prepared for what could have happened. So in the end, I ended up giving it a miss, which I don't know. Sometimes I look back and think
you like pulled out.
Yeah, it was a bit of both, really. I think they wanted me to go on later on in the show. I didn't, and I think the more time I spent waiting at home, the more worried I got that it wasn't for me. And I think if I'd have just been sent in at the beginning, I wouldn't have had any time to think about it, and I would have been there, and I'd have been like, "Shit, this is what I'm doing. Like, I have to just get my head around it now." Whereas I think the more time I spent at home thinking about it, I just decided it wasn't for me. And in the end, I just messaged the producers and said, I think I'm going to give it a miss, maybe next year. And to be fair, they did actually contact me the next year and we spoke about it again. And I think by that point, the ship had kind of sailed. And I was like, I had other stuff going on. And there was other things I wanted to do. And I think looking back, everything happens for a reason. And even though it would have been an amazing opportunity, and I'm not for 1 second saying that I wouldn't have like loved the experience, I think everything happened for a reason, and there's probably a reason I didn't end up doing it. So
if you had a gut feeling, then it's probably right. But were you watching it? Were you like watching it?
Yeah, well, I think that's what freaked me out. That's where I went wrong. So the show started, and I was due to go on later on in the series. And I think the more I started watching it, the year as well that I was due to go in, the producers were messaging me like, who do you fancy? Like, who takes your eye on the show? And I literally, in my head, I was like, no one. I don't fancy any of the boys on there, so maybe this just isn't for me. And also, I am one of those people, if a guy, like, if I have to try and fake it, I can't. Like, it's literally written on my face. So I was like, God, I'm going to go on there and make a fool out of myself because someone's literally going to touch my arm and I'm going to be like, oh, get off me. So,
like he's clinging.
Yeah, no. I was like, it's not for me. Sorry. Maybe if someone had been on there and
like
really,
you actually wanted to meet,
that I really fancied, then it would have been a different story. But there just wasn't really, and I think maybe that there was a reason for that. I don't know. I'm a massive believer in like everything happens for a reason. So did you ever have interviews or not? Yeah, I did. I did all the interviews.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
so
I did
it was
the
like
medicals, and then was like, oh no, not for me.
Oh, bless you. Well, the time wasn't right. But would you have worried about the hate? Like, did you ever think, like, if you go on Love Island, like I always say, trolls. It'd be sick, but the trolls after that are just uncontrollable.
Crazy. I think also, like, how big that show is, like, nowadays, your whole life after is, like, literally under a telescope. Yeah. Everyone's watching your every move. And I think in a way, Housewives does kind of prepare you for something like that because obviously I get a small insight into obviously like a bit of hate and what it can be like, but nothing on that scale. And I think yeah, that's just a whole nother level, I think. So I don't know really. I think I'm quite a strong person. I think like I never really get offended when people write like nasty comments on my pictures or anything. It doesn't bother me. But I think it also must be a lot of pressure when literally the whole world is watching what you're doing. So I don't know. Here's my final answer.
Well, talking about like being in the spotlight, I've just got a few questions about Instagram and like being in the spotlight, like I just said. So you just said you're quite strong and like the comments on your Instagram don't really get to you. Mm-hmm. Do you ever respond to them though? Because surely there's some days something pops up on your phone and you're just like piss off.
Oh my God, so many times.
Have a field day.
I think I literally do have to bite my tongue sometimes and so many things, and I think I would literally love to like put a really nasty comment back, but at the end of the day I think a lot of the people that comment hate on your photos, 90% of the time it's off a fake account and they do it because they want a response. So I think if you respond, you're kind of giving them what they want in a way. So that's kind of what stops me. But have I ever responded? There was one guy who was like constantly commenting on my pictures over Christmas, being like, why are you not doing charity work? You're out there enjoying yourself with your family while other people are really struggling. Like, you should be doing charity work. And I think I responded to that one because I was like, hang on a second, like, we do so much for charity that you don't see. Don't sit there and give me hate just because I'm having a nice day on Christmas Day with my family. Like,
yeah, how dare you?
So I think I went fully in on that guy. But apart from that, normally I just ignore it. Yeah, that's like my mum always says to me as well. She's like, whatever you do not respond, because you just then you create
like the bad guy
exactly,
as well.
And you create then you open a can of worms and it only gets worse. So it's not worth it.
So do you read? Well, we already know you don't read tweets. Do you read articles about yourself?
I read the article, but never, ever, ever do I press on the Daily Mail comments, because that is like number one, like the feeding ground for trolls. Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen anything nice wrote on the Daily Mail. So no, absolutely stay away from that. Not. To be honest, I'm one of those people as well, like what you don't know can't hurt you. So I'd rather just not read it, personally.
Good for you. I don't think I'd have the willpower, to be honest. But
well, that's the thing. Sometimes I am like, oh, I wonder what people are saying. But no.
But then again. So, do you ever get sick of Instagram? Like, because I don't know if you saw it. Do you know there's a girl called like Imagination?
Oh, Imagination. Yeah, Imagination. Yeah. I know what you mean.
But I saw like Holly Hagan repost something on Twitter, like the video she did about, it was like a real life, her recording herself throughout a week of not using social media, but she was having like so many panic attacks because of the hate she was getting. Like really? It was horrible. It was horrible. But I was like wondering, do you ever think Instagram ever negatively affects like your mental health in any way?
I think there's a fine line with Instagram, and I think you definitely have to be careful that you're not spending your whole life on Instagram. Like, I do get told that a lot. A lot of people say to me, like, Taylor, you're always on Instagram, blah, blah, blah. And you get so sucked into it and kind of watching what everyone else does. And I think in that sense, it can have a really negative effect on, obviously, your mental health when you're constantly looking at what other people do. But I think as well, because I know, me personally, I know how different I am in person to what I am on Instagram, if you know what I mean. And I know that like so much of my life is not on Instagram, and everything you see on Instagram is probably less than 1% of what really goes on. So I do remember that when I'm looking at other people's stuff, and I think that kind of keeps me sane, because I'm like, hang on a sec, you see all the good things, but you don't actually see like the days where people are just sat at home doing nothing in their pajamas. Like not everyone's up at 7 a.m. like being really productive, and sometimes you can be so hard on yourself because you see everyone else like doing so much and you're like, shit, why am I not doing that? Whereas like actually, like I say, I know because of how I am, it is literally like less than 1% of like people's lives that you see on Instagram.
Exactly. All that good productive content could be filmed in literally a day, 100%. And then the rest of the week they're doing nothing.
Exactly. Sometimes I do like a whole day and I'll get all my pictures for like literally 3 weeks in one day. Then it looks like I'm doing all these amazing things.
Yeah, like
so
post this like 3 days later, just chilling.
But no, they're literally just like me all in one day in literally 15 different outfits. So
good for you. I mean, I could literally never do this. But do you ever feel pressure to like, not that you need to at all, but like pressure to lose weight if you notice you've put on a few pounds, or like pressure to change yourself and like
yeah, I know what you're saying. I think yes, I would actually say yes, because I think when you're constantly like, especially me, because I've met so many influencers like through being an influencer. So probably 80%, not 80% actually, 50% of the people I follow on Instagram are influencers. And when you're constantly scrolling down Instagram and you just see like so many pictures of these like beautiful girls and like these perfect images, I think it can have a massive effect on yourself. And you're like, oh God. And I think as an influencer as well, every time you put a picture, you're so critical about it. Like I'll take a picture, I'll take 10 pictures, and like a friend of mine who'll be taking the picture, I'll be like, oh, all 10 of them are nice. And I'll be like, oh my God, no, I absolutely hate them. And they're like, they obviously don't see what I see. But I think when you're constantly trying to take nice images all the time, like it does like have an effect on you, and you think, oh God, maybe I need to change this. Like, I need to lose weight, definitely. But I think as well, one thing that I've definitely noticed more in the last few years, if not last year, is there's a lot more people are now using their platforms to kind of promote the other side of reality, basically, like that not everything's perfect, and they're kind of drawing more of a light on that, which I think is amazing. And I definitely need to do more of myself, because I think that kind of brings everyone back to reality, and it makes you realize, hang on a sec, all these pictures you see on Instagram aren't like as perfect in real life.
Don't believe everything you see, literally. But do you think that it has ever, like for example, I know a lot of people will be sitting at home thinking, what has she had done? Do you get that a lot?
Yeah, and genuinely, I've had my lips done and my boobs done, and that's it, I promise. Everyone's like, oh my God, you've had so much surgery. And I get comments all the time on my pictures like, oh, you've had too much filler in your face. And I'm like, listen, I've been in lockdown for 3 months and I've put weight on. It's not filler.
I think you look like you've had your jaw done.
Everyone says that.
But I always remember, like, your jaw has always been like that.
I've had quite a good jaw.
It's just very defined.
But no, I've never had jaw filler, although everyone seems to think I have. That is like, I think that's probably the main one I always get on my pictures.
Yeah.
Like, you've had too much filler, you've got loads of jaw filler. And I'm like, oh my God, I actually don't.
No, I actually don't.
I actually don't.
But do you think your lips and your boobs, was that like completely just because that's something you've always wanted to get done?
Yeah, I think I posted a picture on my wall after I had my boobs done, basically about the reasons I had mine done. And I think for me, it was a massive confidence thing, and I thought about it for ages. It was something I kind of went back and forth with for over a year, and for me personally, it gave me a lot more confidence after having them done. It wasn't just for like an appearance thing. It wasn't just like a vanity reason. But my lips, I don't know really. I think if anything, I don't think I'd get any more lip fillers anytime soon, because I think lips is kind of a phase that's kind of been done now. I don't know. I think big lips was kind of in.
Out of it.
Like Kylie Jenner, everyone wanted to look like Kylie Jenner and have the lips done. But I don't know. I think more natural is kind of in at the moment. And I think I love my lips, don't get me wrong. But I don't think I'd be in any rush to get more filler.
Yeah. Good. You do not need it.
Thanks, girl.
So what do you use to edit your photos?
What do I use to edit my photos? So
give us the go.
By the way, every single girl on Instagram edits their photos, and I'm not going to sit here and be like, I don't edit my photos.
Of course.
Because I don't know any influencer that doesn't. And I think you have to be so honest about that, because I would hate for people to look at my pictures and be like, oh my God, they just took that in their garden and it came out like that, because it didn't. Mm-hmm. I use Facetune for obviously like smoothing kind of your skin or whatever, and obviously there's like a detailing on there which basically makes your picture quality a lot better. I use that. I use Lightroom, which like you can play with all the light on there. You can make, you can make the sea bluer if you want to make the sea bluer. So you can't always believe what you see on Instagram. So yeah, I definitely do edit my pictures, but I think there's also a fine line to how much you edit them.
Do you think the fine line is more, say, like changing what your body looks like and like elements of your face, like what your features actually look like?
I think you have to be careful that you don't obviously go overboard with stuff like that, because I think that is a massive thing that affects people's mental health as well. And I think obviously, like you said, like looking at people on Instagram thinking you need to change things. If you're constantly editing things about yourself, you're going to start hating what you really do have in real life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Like a lot.
Yeah. So I think that is a massive thing.
Well, I think they were going to put, like, there's talks of having to, like, disclose that you've done that.
Yeah. I think, you know what? I think that's such a good idea, because I would never sit here and say, like, oh, I don't edit my pictures or whatever. But I think some people actually, like, they don't realise that. A lot of girls kind of go on Instagram and they just think, like, that everything's real life.
Wow.
And it's
like,
not.
Yeah. And what would you think of Instagram taking the likes away? Because I've heard they're going to do this for ages now, but I don't know if it's going to... How would that affect you?
I did an interview on this morning about this, actually. So I've actually spoke about this a lot. I think I definitely see there's like two sides of it. From an influencer's perspective, I think likes are really important, because it kind of gives you an indication on like a lot of things, like what kind of pictures people like, what kind of pictures they don't like. But I think also as well, I think one of the massive things about likes, I obviously understand the other side of the argument, where they say, like, for people's mental health, like they don't want to compare themselves. I get that, but also my view on it is there's always going to be people in life who have got more than you. There's going to be people with more money. There's going to be people, I don't know, in other people's eyes more beautiful or whatever. Like, no one's equal, unfortunately, in this world. And I think, even though, I get a lot of likes on Instagram, but me as well, there's going to be people that get more likes than me. So I think that's kind of just life, you know? And I think as long as you kind of don't get obsessed with it, I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah. That's so funny that you have just said that, because I always say there's always someone above you and always someone in quote marks below you. Yeah. So what is right and what isn't right? Like, I think we have to learn how to deal with it more 100%. Than the likes being the issue, because if the likes are an issue for the majority, I think that's the problem. Yeah, 100%. I agree. So,
I think, like you said, the biggest thing is kind of if you're going to have Instagram, being in a stable place and not judging the amount of likes you get against what other people get, because like I said, if you're constantly chasing more likes or more engagement on your Instagram, you're never going to be happy, because there's always going to be someone else that's got more. Well, finishing off about Instagram, what is the craziest DM you've ever got? Craziest DM? Oh my God, there's been loads. I got actually a few weeks ago, not recently, I got invited to, someone invited me to a party in Monte Carlo. And I was like, I'm all right, thanks. Yeah, I literally watched something about Monaco the other day, and Monaco, I mean, how do people even live there? Like, oh my God, crazy. Ridiculous. I've only been once. I didn't actually go into Centre Monaco, but yeah, I got invited to a party there. I was like, oh, thanks for the invite, but no. Corona. I don't know you, for one. And who's the most, like, famous person to slide into your DMs? Everyone. I did another interview and someone asked me this. I don't know, to be fair. I actually don't know. My DMs actually are quite boring. I'm in a relationship now, so no one really DMs me anymore. Are you? Yeah. No, I don't know. I probably do know, but I don't think I'm going to say that. What field are these people in? I'm not about to out anyone on your podcast, Aisha. Okay, I tried. Nice try. So, okay, finishing off, like, about your platform as a whole, what would you say? Actually, no, let's ask this first. So, you know, you said that guy messaged you about not doing charity work or whatever. What is your view on, like, do you think you should have to use your platform for good and, like, speaking out about things, or do you think that things can be separated from social media and not everything needs to be put on social media? That's a bit of a hard question, but I know what you're saying. I think for me, that is something I definitely want to do more of, because I think there's so many, having a platform, there kind of comes a responsibility with having a platform. And I think you should use it to do good where you can. And definitely like shine light on matters that obviously, like, for example, like I post a lot of, obviously, like, how do I say this? I get a lot of DMs about, for example, like families who they're trying to raise money for a child that's got cancer, or I always put stuff like that on my story, try and help people where I can. But I think for me, something I don't do enough is kind of speak about matters that should be spoke about. For example, at the moment, I know there's a massive, obviously, all the stuff going on with like Black Lives Matter. I definitely want to obviously promote that more, because I think it's so important. But yeah, I think obviously if you're using it for good things, then definitely. But I'm not one for using my platform for kind of negativity or I don't know. Obviously, like, I think there's a lot of things that are like very two-sided, but definitely where you can, I think it's good to use your platform to help. Yeah. If that's what your question was.
I don't even know what my question was. It was, yeah, but you have answered it. And what would you say the main pros and cons are about your job then?
The main pros and cons, I think the massive pro is obviously I've been able to travel loads. I've been given loads of experiences, opportunities, doing things I probably wouldn't have done before I was an influencer. That is definitely like the biggest perk, is the trips, definitely. I think the cons, one of the main cons definitely, obviously, it's so different from month to month. Like, there's no guarantee. It's the same with anyone, I suppose, that works themselves. And also, obviously, a massive con can be sometimes for me, kind of where to draw the line between like Instagram is just a job and obviously having a life in real life as well, like not getting over obsessed with it, because I think sometimes in the past I have. Whereas now I'm actually the opposite. I'm not obsessed enough. Yeah. So I think that is a massive con as well of being an influencer, because sometimes, obviously, when you're not just working a 9-to-5 job, it's hard to switch off, because you're constantly wanting to get like new content, like better yourself. And I agree. It's hard sometimes just to switch off, and yeah, it can literally send you crazy. So
that's the biggest con probably. But what would you do if Instagram ended tomorrow?
Cry. No, I'm joking. No, I definitely would not. Go bankrupt and cry. No, I wouldn't. I don't know really, because for me, like I said, an influencer was never something that I went out of my way to it was never a career that I literally like set my eyes on and thought that's what I really want to do. I kind of fell into it. So I think I'm always looking for new opportunities anyway. So I think obviously it would be a shame if Instagram just disappeared tomorrow, but I think there is so many other things I want to do regardless, like other than Instagram. So I definitely focus on my fashion, like whether it was like starting my own brand or kind of going back working for someone else. I've worked on and off the last 2 years for Lavish Alice doing design, which I've loved. I'd definitely get back into that. So yeah, to be honest, I don't think for me it would be the be all end all, because
probably be a bit of a relief.
Yeah, I think
just like now time to move on.
Exactly. I think also I always say to people, I'm not going to be an influencer when I'm 45.
Yeah,
like there is
kids.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a forever job, so I think it would definitely open me up to starting something new, which I don't think would be a bad thing. But I don't know. I wonder how long the influencing will go on for.
No, I know.
When do I get to an age when I think I'm too old for this now?
I mean, it depends how long social media lasts for. I mean, it's gonna last, but like the buzz.
There'll definitely be a new big thing. TikTok maybe, who knows?
I fucking hate TikTok. But anyway. Same.
For anyone asking, I have one TikTok on my channel and it's awful.
Let's not go and watch that. So to finish off, I ask everyone that comes on, do you want to plug anything or leave a lasting sentiment?
Let me have a think. For me, main thing would everyone watch out for my YouTube, because I am setting that up soon.
It's coming.
So let's plug my YouTube that's not actually set up yet. Yeah, I think that's my next thing really. Nothing else. That's all.
I mean,
anything for you, Aisha?
Oh, for me,
It's been nice to
Don't
catch
put
up.
me on the spot.
If anything, it's actually been nice to catch up because we've not seen each other in so long, and it's good to have a little chat sometimes.
I know, and
I've enjoyed it.
I sat around your table. I've not been here in yonks, so
I know, it's like a big fat throwback.
Well, thank you so much for coming
Thanks
on.
for having me.
You're actually really good, babe.
Thanks.
And yeah, I'm sure I'm going to get you back on again.
Yeah, do. You can get me back on once I've started my YouTube.
Yeah, I know. That's the
And
next big thing, guys.
We could do like a quick fire questions or something. That'd be funny.
Yes. So watch out for her YouTube. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks.